No? Really? How about now?
We can hear you, but it's not very loud.
Is that because of me or the Ambo mic? Okay. All right. Well, if you can't hear me, though, let me know, because then we'll have to do something. Better? Okay. Well, I just want to say welcome to the second of two town halls that we've had here at Good Shepherd. One was on Zoom on Wednesday. So if for some reason you want to watch, there'll be a recording on the website. And then today, we are also streaming live on YouTube. So just so you're all aware that you're being recorded, and it'll be on YouTube. So you can go back and watch that too. You're a YouTube star now. So thank you for being here. And sorry we didn't have hospitality. That was also part of our plan. We wanted to feed you a little bit. But because of the case numbers and everything, we decided to not do the food option today. So next time, Pastoral Council, they're going to do a hospitality when everything settles down with the numbers again. So, okay. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to go through our commission reports, and we're going to start with Deacon Sandy's State of the Parish. But before we get there, we're going to have Deacon Sandy come up and lead us in prayer.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Almighty, ever-living, God of love, we give you thanks for every person gathered here this morning. We give you thanks for each mind and heart that fills the presence of this space. Only you, God, truly know what we should be setting out to accomplish. Though we have ideas, visions, hints, thoughts, and yes, because of you, we have talents, abilities, and desires to do your will, only you can see in perfect detail the end of every beginning, the purpose of every project, the beauty and life in every season, the potential in every human life, and the goodness of every parish plan. With you, God, nothing is ever in vain, for even mistakes and missteps with your guidance can be used for good. So strengthen our confidence in ourselves, for you have made us to be. Set us free from doubt in order to work together for your glory. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, I'm still on.
Yes, Deacon Sandy, you could stay there.
Okay. So, as we've done in every town hall that we've had since I've been here with you as parish director, we begin with the state of the parish. It's not unlike the State of the Union. It's meant to be a high-level, 30,000-foot overview of how this past year has been, primarily, and a little bit of a look ahead of next year. So we begin for 2021 to look at these things. Overall, remarkable, absolutely remarkable that we have survived another year of COVID and not just gotten through, but we've done well. Outstanding achievement by everybody, our parishioners, our staff, our councils, well done. We've been creative and continue to be. Christian Formation is a great example in terms of their pivoting and adjusting their ministries so that we can continue to serve our people even when we can't gather. Challenge number one over the last year was COVID, no surprise to any of you. We continue last year to be concerned with the safety for everybody. ourselves and each other, and thus wearing masks and distancing and sanitizing continues. There has been an extraordinary willingness to adapt. So, with the grace of God, thank you one and all. It was a year of unity and love, if you remember, but it's over now. Doesn't mean we can't continue to focus on unity and love. But that was last year's focus. We'll have a new focus this year. We had last year 3 evening prayers. We had an In the Spotlight on the subject. And we had a public witness that was for an organization called Black Lives Are Sacred. And that took place right here in Menomonee Falls. And it was so good to see so many of our parishioners come to that as an outpouring of unity and love. It was a year of St. Joseph. If you haven't seen, there now is a St. Joseph statue in our narthex. Thanks to Steve Johnson, our maintenance man, we've been able to have him look equal to Mary rather than being a midget. So he has a special platform and you really can't even tell any longer. And it was a very important effort last year, our Love One Another capital campaign. Again, I'm touching only on things. Our goal of $740,000, rounding off, the parish will receive 60% of that, roughly $445,000. We're close to 100%. So thank you for all of you who have considered making contribution. A little more on 2021. There were changes. We are down to administrators. So we had a general parish administrator and a Christian formation administrator leave. So we have not filled those positions. However, we're up 1 community engagement manager, a coordinator, and that's Brian, who happens to be here with us. He's really hit the streets running. From day one, I could see him pick up this specialty. This really matches his background, given what he did at WTMJ. So he gets communication and engagement. Status on Amarum, I can tell you that for 3 years leading up to COVID, we had upticks every year. So we had some positive trending. 2021, it's impossible to tell because COVID impacted so much and the Archdiocese changed the reporting period. So we really can't give you much specific other than to say we remain around 600 households, a little over, and around 1,600 parishioners, a little over that. So in last year, as you know, we did significant upgrade here. We did the wall, we did the carpeting, we did the music platform, we did new audio system, we did new video technology, we built a closet for storage. Much happened. We refreshed the narthex, we refreshed the Mary of Magdala Chapel, we refreshed the sacristy with painting. So lots of good things last year, a very exciting year actually. So 2022, only 1 slide. Looking ahead, we're going to have all of our clergy, so your deacon, Father Peter and Father Tom have all agreed that they will stay for at least another year. We're all on a year-to-year assignment. So there's some stability that will be extended into this year. You can applaud, yes, you certainly can. I cannot say the specifics. You know, I believe, that Mike Crane is retiring in June. So that in and of itself is a big change, but there are going to be others. So we are still sorting out some of the details. So we will be transparent, but at the moment I can't give you those details. I would imagine in the next month or 2 you're going to hear more about what's going to be happening with our staff. Each time something like this happens, we look at how we structure and consider making adjustment versus just accepting what was good in the past. It may not be good for the future. We have done very well with a committee of 6 that have put together a data-informed, mission-driven strategic plan. I can tell you there are 2 priorities. There will be our priorities, and that's to, as good as Mass is, and as wonderful as our experience is, we want to enhance and increase Mass vibrancy. And as much as we appreciate our seniors and our middle-aged folks, we want to do more to attract young families. And we're now, this coming year, so the pledge period of the Love One Another campaign is over. This year, as we start to receive the funds, when you make a payment against your pledge, we get back 60% from that payment. So as we begin to receive those payments, we're going to begin to implement those 5 initiatives that were in the case statements for the Love One Another campaign. And we will continue COVID diligence. Hopefully it won't have to be all year, but who knows? We're prepared, and we've shown that we can adjust accordingly. You may very well have questions. My suggestion is jot them down if you have a good memory, and there will be a full question and answer period when we're done. So that's your state of the parish for 2021 and a look ahead at 2022.
Okay, next up is Pastoral Council. And now I will introduce myself, because I forgot to do that at the beginning. I'm Lisa Nimmer, and I'm the current chairperson for the Pastoral Council. So I will give you our report. Okay, sorry about the rustling. The bulk of the year we spent on strategic mission planning. So what that entailed was a group of 6 people, not just Pastoral Council, but 2 from Pastoral Council, 2 from staff, and 2 from the parish at large, that would meet. We called that the mission planning team, and they met with the Archdiocese, Rich and Laura. Some of you know Rich Harder very well. And so it was data informed. It was also mission driven, but the data was that was compiled from the Disciple Maker Index survey that you all took back in 2019, I think. So that was one of the tools used, and also some tools that the Archdiocese had for us, and just our prayer and knowledge of Good Shepherd and the culture here. So they began with a vision statement of what they'd like to see at Good Shepherd, and from there, with the data and the tools, they came up with 2 recommended areas of focus. And Deacon Sandy alluded or talked about those. It's the focus on young families and the vibrancy of the Mass. So the mission planning team is pretty much wrapping up their end of it. They're going to write an implementation plan, which will just have overarching goals. And then the next step will be for the commissions and the staff and all of us to try to work these goals into our parish life. So that will be the next step. And we're looking forward to seeing what 2022 brings for that. And that we'll be spending a lot of time helping with the implementation. One of the first things we're going to do is talk to young families and see what their needs are, what they feel they need right now from the church, and some things we can do to help promote and enhance engagement and activity. Also, we're going to, in 22, take a look at our commissions, and we're going to try to enhance our communication with commissions and see what support they need and how we can help them achieve their goals, and how we can work on some of the focus areas for the recommendations from the mission planning team. I also wanted to let you know that we have 2 new Pastoral Council members this year. Craig Taugis is here today. He's in the audience. And also Patrick Young just recently joined Pastoral Council not that long ago. So we're looking forward to working with them for the next few years. In spring, there will be openings again. So there's 2 more openings in the spring nomination. So please consider nominating yourself or somebody that you know that's really interested in leading and collaborating and doing great things for the parish. Okay, I think I'm finished with my report. Okay, now we're going to hear from Greg Goss. From Finance Council.
I feel like I just did this. Welcome. I guess when I introduced myself earlier, I don't know if it's a big deal, but I currently chair the Finance Council. I wanted to give you an update. Some of the information you heard earlier during Mass warm-up. Again, the reserves were at the end of the year down 16%. You can see the numbers here. with a balance of about 264, 265. Again, the reserves we used to, part of that was due because we paid off the balance. So we make payments on our loan, capital improvement loan from reserves. Also, we used funds from the worship to pay for the worship space upgrade. So that was part of that. The Eschweiler Fund, New Century Fund, is actually up, and you can see the numbers here, which is pretty remarkable. Given the fact that we actually pulled some funds from there as well. Capital improvement projects, we thought, well, it's always, I'm a project manager by trade, right? So it's always nice to hear what things got accomplished in the previous year. So these are some of the things we wanted to highlight. Obviously, the worship space upgrade that we have highlighted here. But also there's things that, and I think Joe's here. Where are you, Joe?
Yeah, he's here.
Joe, he's hiding. Joe. He could, maybe later he can elaborate on some of this, but in terms of the details, sound system, video streaming, technology in the church, but also the new software and email platform for the staff. Repairs were made to enhance our roof, canopy roofs. And it's really important because if we don't take care of that, then it leads to worse problems. Regarding the Love One Another campaign, this is just to give you an idea of the breakdown. Building and grounds, 144. Worship space renovations, we're calling will be phase 3, which is really cool. I'm kind of excited to get that part going as well. Financial security, and then technology upgrades, additional things there, as well as enhanced outreach. And then project development, as we talk about here, begins soon. Things that you've already heard about the boiler, we need to deal with that. But there's other projects that we want to kind of start taking a look at. But most important, I want to say, is enhanced outreach. That's another 22, that's another 5% on top of what we give today from your contributions to the parish. So that's important for everybody to keep in mind. Again, this is the things regarding the capital loan improvement. We paid it down 38,000 with a current balance of 44. This is the part I highlighted during pre-mass. Last year, pledges were 399,000. Well, we received 385, so there was a deficit there. So as we look towards the pledges for the year that we're currently in, the pledge cards received were 223, that's down 9%. Yet we're only down 1.3% because the total pledges are 394,000. So as I said earlier, people were on an average giving more when they did pledge, however we receive fewer. So again, if people haven't had the opportunity to make their pledges yet, we're encouraging them to do that. And I think Christian Formation is next.
Yep, I'd like to introduce Mike Crane from Christian Formation.
Good morning, everyone. So our Christian Formation programs have been in person this year, yay. We were on Zoom all last year for all of our programming. That is, we were in person this year until January when things got dicey. We polled our families and they were split right down the middle about whether they wanted to be together or not. I mean, I think the truth is we all like to be together, we prefer to be together, but we were concerned about safety. And in light of that, Karina and I pivoted to, that's our favorite COVID word, we pivoted to what we learned last year. And we made the decision on a Friday morning for a Saturday evening program, which was a little bit exciting. And we prepped the whole online program for Saturday and Sunday that weekend. And we did our Growing Faith in January on Zoom as well. Our hope is still if the trend continues down, that we'll be able to be back safely in person in February. We haven't made any decision on that. We want to wait as long as we can. But so we've been able to bring our programs back. Last summer, we had to skip one summer of Vacation Bible School. We brought that back this year. Matthew 25 did a virtual in 2020. We were able to have the kids back serving and gathering here this past summer. We did an adjusted Catholic Heart work, or it wasn't Catholic Heart, it became Heart Works work camp. It was the brainchild of Karina and Brian, and it went very well. It was an in-person camp. They stayed at St. James. They served in the community, and they came back for their formation events, and it was very successful. The young adult in-person events have continued throughout the year to go safely. They were able to go to Mount Olympus in August. They did an outdoor movie night and bonfire. They did a fall scavenger hunt. They did a Packer pizza and packing party, which was a gathering at St. James where they watched the Packer game, ate pizza, and packed food boxes to go to Capish and Community Services. They also took a group of young people to Indianapolis for the National Catholic National Catholic Youth Conference. I'm not used to it by its initials, sorry. Threw me. They've continued to do service projects. They did a day of reflection for confirmation students and their sponsors. They also, this year, we sent 45 care packages to our college students through the College Care Connection and through your generosity, so thank you. Looking forward, there we go. We have a few retreats that were scheduled in January and February due to safety concerns. We've rescheduled those this year for March and April to give a little more time for things to normalize. So our 6th through 8th grade retreat and our 9th and 10th grade retreat have been rescheduled. The confirmation retreat is still scheduled for the end of February. We are going on our first Catholic National Traveling Work Camp trip since 2019. They'll be going to Boston from here, and we're also working with St. Agnes and offering a camp to Benton Harbor, Michigan. So we're back to traveling, seeing the country with our youth to serve and have that great experience with them. So fundraising and planning have already begun. We're looking forward to a normal schedule of events this summer, fingers crossed, the good Lord willing, and the COVID numbers go down. We will be able to return, continue to have our normal schedule of Vacation Bible School, Matthew 25, work camps, and even a few youth events or two. So we're hoping that things continue as they to continue on the downward turn, and we'll be able to continue to be together, because ministry happens best when we are with each other. So thank you. And stewardship is next.
Okay, Randy Ellis, could you come up for stewardship? Thanks.
Gee, I'm so used to approaching this from the other end. Okay, hi, I'm Randy Ellis, and I'm a member of your Stewardship Commission. We're probably the youngest commission here at Good Shepherd, and we sit underneath the Finance Council. We have about 6 regular members and have just welcomed Brian Ramsey as our new staff liaison. We have 2 main focuses for our commission. The first focus is community engagement, where our goals are essentially establishing relationships between our parishioners and relationships between the parishioners and ministries of the parish. And this is the area of focus that I'm most involved in. One of the ways we are striving to reach those goals is by helping organize and oftentimes staff after liturgy hospitality. We've been calling them our Fifth Sunday hospitalities. Some of you might remember the Dad's Root Beer Father's Day hospitality, and then the Harvest Apple hospitality we hosted last year. As COVID clears away, our goal is to encourage other commissions and ministries to help host those Fifth Sunday hospitalities, giving them a chance to tell the parish what they're about, as well as serving up some treats. We're also planning with Marguerite to start up some small faith-sharing groups this coming Lent. For those of you who remember Renew, this is going to be something similar. Keep watching the bulletin and website for more information, and Lent is right around the corner. And then if any of you are part of a ministry, we're trying to help our ministries. And if you're part of a ministry that you think nobody knows anything about, please contact us. And let's see if we can help put the word out on your ministry and get those relationships going. Another thing that we are doing, or have been doing, and will continue to be doing, is interviewing members of the parish and sharing their stories. And we've been doing that in the form of video interviews. And that's so that we can all share our love for our religion and for Good Shepherd Parish and share it with each other. Now, the second main focus area, as being a commission under the Finance Council, is to help plan and execute fundraising drives. And these include, an assessment that we're doing with our time and talent, and our annual commitment process. You might remember we just went through that in November, so we have members that help organize that. And some of our members have even helped out with the Love One Another campaign. Now, that is not the side that I'm mostly involved in, but it's a very important thing for the parish and part of what our commission does. And that's what we're doing. And now we're on to prayer and worship. I think that's Judy.
Good morning. My name is Judy Zunk, and I'm a member of the Prayer and Worship Commission. Our commission coordinates and supports multiple liturgical ministries, committees, and teams. Our mission is to inspire full, active, and conscious participation by the assembly, leading to a deeper experience of God in worship. So, taking a look from what we did last year, and then we'll move forward to what we can look forward to this year. So last year, in 2021, it continued to be a challenge for all of us. However, we did make some advancements over 2020 as some of the pandemic restrictions we had were lifted. So we continued the practices of distancing, masking, and sanitizing. We were able to designate seating areas in the worship space for full masking and distancing, as well as an allowance for optional distancing and masking, not masking when seated. Sanitizing continued to be encouraged, and hand sanitizer was readily available everywhere in the church building. We were again able to use our music books and seasonal worship aids and listen to the Lord return for the kids. We maintained in-person liturgies throughout the year. Live streaming of weekend liturgies continued as an option for those unable to physically attend Mass. The communion procession returned with 4 Eucharistic distributors, hosts only, and 4 hand sanitizers. People were able to bring communion to the homebound in the returnable picks, and the presentation of the gifts by the assembly was resumed. The number of music ministers allowed at liturgy was increased, and in general, more ministers returned to service. The worship space renovation was completed with a rededication mass in July presided by Bishop Haynes. And St. James and Good Shepherd hosted in-person Lent and Advent missions, the Gift of Sundays with Bishop Haynes. Advent evening prayer was celebrated again in person. So, what can we look for in this year, 2022, from prayer and worship? We continue to have ongoing modifications to our pandemic response. It was necessary to re-implement the policy to wear masks at all times when in the church building, even when seated, and as a response to the latest COVID surge. Sanitizing and distancing are continued to be in place. We will continue to live stream our weekend liturgies for now, and in-person Lenten evening prayer on the Sundays of Lent and the Lenten Mission Gift of Sundays evening prayer on March 23rd will be held. Unfortunately, other enrichment prayer events will not be offered again this year, and these include events that would have happened and will, Christmas lessons and carols, the Larkham concerts, Ash Wednesday soup supper, and the Christian Passover meal. The Prayer and Worship Commission will be working with the mission planning team on their two focus areas of vibrancy in the Mass and engaging young families. Let's all pray that the people of Good Shepherd Parish will be able to have a corn roast this August. Let's hope. Can we hope for that? And if so, we would like to celebrate with an extra special liturgy. Something for everyone to consider as we continue to emerge from our pandemic restrictions. The services and activities that Good Shepherd Parish provides would not be possible without the help, support, and cooperation of the active liturgical ministers, priests, parish staff, parish council members, and some helpful members of St. James, especially the gathered assembly each liturgy. Requests will be made for assembly ministers to consider joining a liturgy ministry. Volunteers are always needed and welcomed. Consider sharing your time and talent. May we be a people who continue to live in blessed hope, praying for peace and working for justice. Thank you. And next is human concerns.
Hi, I am Jim Yerger, Chair of the Human Concerns Commission. The two most important items, I believe, in the Human Concerns Commission's mission statement are, number one, to appreciate and support all human concerns groups and ministries within the parish. Number two, to act as responsible stewards in allocating the outreach funds that the congregation has designated for those in need and those who advocate for those in need. We have multiple ministries quietly working in the background or awaiting the opportunity to re-engage fully post-pandemic. Some of these are Barbers Without Borders, Cathedral Center for Women, Falls Area Food Pantry, Cathedral Center, Gay and Straight in Christ, Immigration Study Group, Listening to Women, Repairs of the Breach, Sleeping Bags and More, and St. Michael Parish Ministries work with refugees. Human Concerns Commission has been meeting regularly in blended format of virtual and in person. Our outreach committee has continued to grant funds from a percentage of our income to organizations that serve the poor and disenfranchised. Donations last year went to Adult Learning Center, Catholic Charities Lacrosse for Afghan refugees, Catholic Ecology Center, Benedict Center, Doctors Without Borders, Dominican Center for Women, the Foncos USA for Haitian People, Global Partners, Running Water, water projects for Central America, Kino Border Institute, refugees on the U.S. border, and Life's Connection, a pregnancy support group. The Acuria Committee has had a couple of fair trade sales, including the return of Salvatorian crafts. They are in dialogue with the community in El Salvador about the challenges they currently face. Faith Advocates Against Human Trafficking has been active, creating learning opportunities and finding ways to get lunches to the Franciscan peacemakers. They received, as part of Faith Coalition Against Sex Trafficking, the Treasures of the Church Award from Catholic Charities this year. It is currently on display in the narthex. Racial Justice Ministry has had a busy year developing strategies to address issues, to educate and to build relationships, particularly with St. Martin de Porres Parish in Milwaukee. Good Shepherd hosted a Black Lives Are Sacred MKE event in September off Appleton Avenue by Festival Park. St. Ben's Meal Ministry is active, although they have had to pivot a little bit due to the conditions the pandemic has brought about. The Back to School drive was back last year, and as usual, our parishioners were very generous. Last year, the Thanksgiving food drive involved bringing already filled boxes to church, with House of Peace picking them up. We had over 100 boxes of food. The toy drive was great, and it was fun to see the mountain of toys. We were not able to go down to House of Peace to help sort, particularly due to the pandemic and in part because of new protocols they have in place. Hopefully, we can resume it in 2022. In conclusion, I think that the principles of Catholic social teaching that has guided Human Concerns Commission of this parish is still inspiring us today. Thank you.
It's tempting to point it at the screens. Point it at the desk in the back, because that's where the receiver is, back there.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Craig Chalshus, as you heard earlier, a new member to the Pastoral Council, and even a newer member to the Pastoral Care Commission. I'll spend a few minutes talking to you about this. this morning. Cheryl Matusiak is the leader of this commission. Couldn't be here today, so I'm just going to spend a few minutes on her behalf. The main message here is the severe impact that COVID has had on the mission of this commission. Much of what this commission does relies on physical interaction with people, and that has had a severe impact. Cheryl did share that obviously it depends on people's comfort level, whether they would like to meet in person to discuss things or virtual. And most of it has been virtual and slowly getting back to in person. So I look forward to seeing how that improves here as things hopefully ramp down, and see how I can contribute to this commission. And much of what this commission does is rather private, just based on the mission. So although, you know, things are going on in the background people may not see because it's not as highly visible as some of the other commissions. So things have not stopped completely, but definitely have slowed during this pandemic. I also want to share that I feel kind of a bit of a personal call to help with this commission. So my father passed away. It's been a while yet, but still hard. In November of 2020. And I reached out to many of you in the audience. You know who you are. And you responded instantly to my need and the needs of my family. And it was amazing and extremely comforting. And so I feel a call to help with this commission. And, you know, in particular, Deacon Sandy made visits, physical, in-person visits with me and my family to my dad. And it was outside, could only be outside. It was just right up the road here at Linden Grove. And it was extremely comforting and important. My dad was a very devout Catholic. And it was something appreciated by the entire family and myself, and obviously my dad. And so I thank all of you out there who helped with that time. And obviously it's still difficult because it's been about a year and a half. And I think that that is a very important part of helping our community. And again, it's not visible to a lot of people, but extremely important. And I look forward to how I can help with this commission and coming up with perhaps some new ideas on how to help our fellow parishioners out there where they need someone to talk to. So thank you. And the other area where I think I can help is in the funeral meal preparation that the Pastoral Care Commission helps with. So I'm not sure if those have restarted during these times of COVID or not. I'm seeing a lot of head shaking, so no. So I think I can help out there. I'm a pretty good cook. Well, I think I'm a pretty good cook. And I'll tell you who to talk to if you want to validate that. So I think that's one particular area I know I can help with. So thank you, and I look forward to contributing.
We don't have a chat. I just want to thank all the presenters today from all the commissions, and just to say what amazing things we're doing here, and even in the pandemic and working through COVID, so many wonderful, amazing things are still happening at Good Shepherd. And I just want to thank all the commission speakers today, but all the people also that are involved in all the ministries, and all the people that just really help keep us together as a community. So thanks to all of you. And now this part of the program, so to speak, will be the questions or comments or affirmations, whatever's on your mind. We have two ways we can do it. We have that microphone there, if somebody would like to come up, or I could walk around with the wireless also, whatever you feel most comfortable with. But don't be shy, speak up, tell us what's on your mind. You're gonna do that? Okay.
The microphone is important because we are recording, and if you just say your question from your pew,
Okay.
you won't be heard on the recording, so.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, so obviously we don't have to worry about the chat, so you guys can just come up or raise your hand or just come on up.
I'm taking my mask off because it's hard to speak and breathe at the same time. My name is Barb Cornette, okay? And I've been a member of this Good Shepherd Parish since 1969. When my family moved to Menomonee Falls, I was 25 years old. Definitely considered at that time a young family. But sorry, I am now 78 and not a young family, but I am still a family. I asked Lisa if I could speak because I have some concerns and questions about the direction our parish is headed. I listened to these presentations Wednesday evening through Zoom. There were about 45 parishioners that participated out of 600 Good Shepherd families. My first concern and question is in regards to our parish members who are in their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I'm not sure if we have anybody in their hundreds as of yet. At a parish council meeting several months ago, the survey was being discussed. A strong statement was made by a council member that the parish emphasis is now on young families. At that meeting, George Colias, a former senior council member, reminded the council of the high percentage of Good Shepherd members that are over 65. Communications with senior members of this parish are being cut. Breaking bread has been eliminated. Current technology is a stumbling block for many seniors. In some cases, an inability to attend Mass because of physical disabilities, it is impossible to receive a bulletin. These issues were discussed at that council meeting, and some changes were discussed. Has there been any movement in the past several months to address these issues? If so, what are they? Parish finances have been one of the most pressing issues. I read frequently in the bulletin the amount of money set aside for youth programs, which is right, and the amount of money set aside for this building. Where do Good Shepherd senior members fit in? Is Good Shepherd a community of and for a building and money? Or are we a community for all the people? Today's second reading from St. Paul to the Corinthians, which I read attended Mass last night. The struggle was being love. Now, I've been a member of this parish for 53 years and counting. I had a hard time coming this morning and speaking to you, but my love for Good Shepherd propels me to come before you and speak my feelings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barb. Barb, I just want to say thank you. We love you. We do. And the first question you ask is anything being done and what about communicating with our senior members? Joe, I would ask you to respond to that.
Be about your business, Brian. Be about your business. So we have, over the last 6 months, obviously, we had, as Sandy mentioned, his update, change in staffing. So we lost 2 administrative assistants at that time. Then went on a search process, which finally brought Brian on board as a community engagement manager in December. So in that time with short staffing, it was very difficult to do additional communications and certainly pull off breaking bread, taking the time to do another publication, assemble that together. And in that time and in bringing Brian on board, we've taken a look at what was the content of breaking bread, what were the items that were most unique, how can we filter that into other communications. So as we've looked at our bulletin, you may have noticed recent changes with the bulletin that it's down to 3 pages from the 5 that it was. Our printing company, LPI, it's always been an ad-supported publication, and the ad revenue has just dropped extremely low on that. So that's why we're down to 3 pages, and we're now actually paying for our bulletin on a regular basis. But with that opportunity going down to 3 and looking at the content we've had there, once a month we are going to go back to that 5-page bulletin. And in those extra pages on those once a month, it'll be kind of an echo of what Breaking Bread was, including some of the materials that were in there. Trying to get back to Health Bites, Green Corner, looking at some stories about parishioners and their viewpoints, the stewardship interviews that the commission is doing, trying to bring in some of those, kind of highlighting life of the parishioner. I also want to take a look at the events that we've been doing and recapping those, which we've already been doing over the last few months in the bulletin, sharing the pictures of the events and the stories. So not just advertising what's upcoming, but looking back into what has happened and sharing that with our community. Along with those changes of the bulletin, we're also working with Marguerite and with Cheryl to compile a list of those households that can't come to Mass, that aren't able to be with us, make sure that we're able to establish a proper mailing list and be mailing out those bulletins to all of those households so that communications are done. So not that we're looking to bring back Breaking Bread, but move that content into the bulletin and be mailing those out just to the households that cannot come. Otherwise, people will be getting it here at Mass when they pick up the bulletin, or if they are receiving the email, can view it electronically. So that's how we're looking to approach getting this content out and keeping those communications open. We'll also be working with Brian to do a communication survey to find out just how people prefer to receive their communications. So whether that's via postal mail, whether that's via email or just visiting the website or using the app, so that we can
get it to you in the way that you most prefer and that you will actually read it. And also try and save money by not sending things out via postal mail when no one's opening it, which I feel is probably a lot of it right now that we spend on postage and paper without it being opened. So the communications aspect, that's what we're trying to plan for connecting. So if there's anything else on that before I step down, I'm happy to answer. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Do you want me to address any other issues? Well, Barb did mention, is Good Shepherd a parish of a community or a parish of building and grounds or a building? And Barb, that's a struggle, because in order to serve the community that is the parish, and in order to serve the community that is around us, Milwaukee and the country and the world, you have to have a foundation. So this all started because a parishioner gave us a $50,000 designated gift for the retreatment of the east wall in the worship space. So the parish didn't start that. And we could not spend that money on anything else. So then when we brought that to councils and staff, and then we had the capital campaign come in, we vetted the 5 case statements with councils and staff, and council, particularly Pastoral Council, is the parish, is representatives of the parish. Anybody can self-nominate or try to get on council, and as we heard, we encourage you to do that. So admitting it is difficult to always know how to spend this block of dollars, but the intention is to build a place that is inspiring, spirit-filled, has sacramental purpose to enrich us in order then to go and serve. So it's not one or the other. I hope it's a handshake and a partnership between the two. I know when I was appointed by Archbishop Listecki, he said that I am appointing you to care for the temporal and spiritual needs. So there is a temporal need and there is a spiritual need. And again, it's admitting it is a struggle, but that's why we have councils and trustees and commissions, so that we don't have one person making all the decisions. So.
And more on the building as we're, we've hit that age. We've hit 60. Anybody out there hit 60 and your body's changing? I'm not there yet, but I'm 50. This guy's been groaning every time he gets out of a chair. He knows what he's talking about. So the building is 60 years old. It's seeing its age. We've had, buildings were built well in the 60s, but now they're seeing their age. So we have some things that need to be repaired and replaced and fixed. So we have to start investing in the building if we want this to be here and be well. There's small things such as doors that don't really latch very well, and we have constant problems with that. And changing out, and they're actually not up to current safety standards in terms of egress bars and things like that we have to change. We have toilet drains that have, over the years, have now rusted shut. We had to close off urinals in the men's room upstairs because we simply could not repair the drains or access them through the boiler room sufficiently. We actually have floor drains in the women's room, which is actually above this ceiling over here in church, that are also plugged. And so we have to tear apart the ceiling to get at those drains to replace them if we want those to function and not leak and damage our worship space. We mentioned the roofs. We have those that have been crumbling. The parking lot, which is starting to buckle, crack, and gain potholes. So there's a lot of things that, yes, we do need to take care of our building if we want to remain here and to continue to serve, as Sandy mentioned. Investments in technology. It's the way the world is going, and we're preparing ourselves to be that way and to function in the current realm of what we are as a staff and as a community. And there are certainly not a means to disconnect anyone, but to make sure that we are connecting others, who that is their form of communication. That is the only way they interact with the world, is by staring at their phone 24 hours a day. We want to engage them, and we want to have them be a part of the community. If we look around today and we see our average age again, we're not seeing those younger families. It's not a focus that is saying we're looking away from older generations. I think the really focus is on the upcoming generations. We want to make sure that we have families here into the future of this parish. We don't want this parish to fade away as all of you go away. We want more strength, more commitment, more engagement. So as we, I think that's what we're looking at with that strategic plan is, how do we bring more generations in? How do we connect them to this parish, to our mission, to the strong values of social justice that we have here in this community, looking out for the human person as well as we do here versus some of our neighboring parishes. How do we bring them here? How do we help this world be better with the current younger generation that's out there who is making a fight but don't see the Catholic Church as the place to do it? We can help hopefully bring them in and have the Catholic Church be their place where they're fighting for these issues as well. So I hope that answers a lot of questions and concerns that you have. I'm willing to answer anything else that may have come up. Okay.
I'll stay here. Stay here, I'm not gonna walk up there. Just have a little bit of comment about our statements that we received.
Yes.
I noticed they've changed a little bit, and I wonder if there will be some other that we have made donations to, like A Korea, the Children's Youth Group and stuff. Could that be included on our mailing too?
With the current software we have, it cannot on a regular basis. We can only export so much data to those statements. And that's, I bring up the more technology. If you're able to use technology, you can always log in and see all of that data that it's out there. Unfortunately, when printing, we can only print so much and export so much data. So that's why we're limited to right now what we did and focusing on those pledged funds of the daily operating fund and the building maintenance fund and trying to do some totals. But we can't get those other ones on a monthly report unless we do longer statements, which...
Well, where should we look?
So if we log in portal, and I can connect with you personally on this to log in, and then you can see your contributions. So we have a number of parishioners who are doing that, and you can see your full detail if I want to get your email address and set up a password, and then you can log into the portal on the website, and you can see all that.
So we contact you to have that done for us?
Yep, I can
Is
get
that
you
correct?
connected. Correct.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, I don't think that mic's working.
Mine's working.
Because I went out there and you can't hear it. So I don't think it's actually working. I think it, I mean, I can hear that mic, but I cannot hear that mic out there.
So while we're wrangling with the technology, just be aware of what just happened. Anybody at any time can call anybody on the staff and seek more information than they're receiving. So anybody who has a question about finance at Good Shepherd, I know Joe, I don't know how he does it, quite honestly, but he follows up on everything. So if you need to know more specifically either about your statement and or what the parish is doing with funds, Joe's your man. Sorry, Joe, I don't mean to overwhelm you, but he is your man.
In his office? I heard he works a lot at home, so.
We all do. We're all working a lot at home. But he certainly can be, you can call and leave a message, or you can send an email. Yes.
And what if we don't have a computer?
Just probably have to come back up again. Speaking of finances, since we aren't allowed to go to the Finance Committee, I don't know why, but we're not allowed to. Could we get considerably more detail on what's spent for what? For example, how much do the screens cost? How much does the update of somebody's Wi-Fi and internet and all that stuff in a certain location? Detail. Can we get that?
Yeah, call me and I'll be happy to show it. Yeah.
Why can't it be published that way?
If people want more detail published, we can publish more detail.
Because there was quite a large amount in miscellaneous, I think it was, that, one would like to know where one's money is going, basically. And if we could get a lot more detail, I think that would help people and perhaps even increase donations if we knew exactly what our money was going to.
Yes, I noticed since arriving here, we have not had financial communication in the bulletin or otherwise about where we're standing in our operating budget on a regular basis or where these other funds are. It is a dialogue we've had briefly at Finance Council in terms of sharing more information this way. We do share the year-end report, and we did have some detail in there, not to the level you're speaking about, but in those reports, when we recap those projects or when we're going forth, we can. I would say we'll make a commitment with our Love One Another campaign as we make those expenditures, that we are straightforward and clear about that with those details as we are spending. So if that's good for a commitment going forward, I think we're happy to do that and shouldn't have any problem doing so.
That would be helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do want to also make comment that we ascribe to what the Archdiocesan norms are regarding Pastoral Council, which is public and is open to anybody and everybody who wishes to visit. Joyce, I know you and Barb are regular visitors, and I hope you always feel welcome. We are advised by the Archdiocese that because Finance Council deals with a lot of future budgeting things, so that it can be very confusing to the non-financial mind because nothing's been decided on, we also deal with personnel issues, and those are clearly confidential.
Nobody is saying we should be
yeah,
on that.
so there's confidential matters. If anybody wants to come to a Finance Council meeting to address a specific issue, you would be welcome to come. We just don't open it up to the public. So if somebody like Pastoral Council, if you wanted to come and say things like you've said, you would call, Greg Goss is our chair, and let Greg know, and then we would have a portion of the beginning of the meeting to have that person who came. What we can't do is have people stay for the entire meeting. And again, that's not because we're trying to hide stuff, but it's because we're ascribing to the norms of the Archdiocese.
Yeah, so the Finance Council, we meet, I think it's the third Monday of every month, right? So, and I try to do the agenda, Wednesday, Friday before. So if you have something that you would like to, or anybody, any parishioner for that matter, if there's something you want to come to the Finance Council and discuss, just let me know. If you could let Joe know too, but just let me know and I'll get you on the agenda. That's not a big deal. My email address is gsgoss@att.net. That's the easiest one to remember. I could give you my other two, but anyway. So just send me an email and I can get you on the agenda.
Joe, I'd like to ask a question of you. Closer? Okay. Joe, there's that account that has been started a good 20 years ago for people that, from funerals it started mostly, donations. For people who, if they couldn't pay their electric bill, if they had financial problems, they could get it from this. And I believe there's 20,000 in, is that about right?
I think it's about maybe 9,000. I'd have to look. I haven't, yeah, 9,000.
I was told it was 14,000 a year or two ago, and it could have gone down. I think that maybe our church somehow should be letting the parishioners know that this is available to them. I don't know. I know they've used it. Several people have used it, and I think paid back. I do think this is something that is very quiet in the parish, and you have to have permission from 2 people, if I'm not mistaken, to use it, and that's good. I mean, you don't want anybody just being available to use it if they don't need it. That is something that hasn't been published much. And I can help the pastoral guide for the grief, give him some good ideas, so I will meet with him.
Very good. Thank you.
I have just a little thing. Are you the bulletin person now? I know. Are you the bulletin person now? Then this is for you. Okay, I see something missing from the bulletin that I really liked. And it was real fine print at the bottom, and it said something about, if you want baptism, the next baptism time is such and such. If you're getting married, let us know that blah, 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 and something else, very tiny. And I see that that's missing. Is there a reason that's missing? I liked it.
I would say I haven't seen it, but that's excellent feedback, and I'll look for a way to integrate it. It's certainly been on my mind in terms of sacraments and how we offer them and when we offer them to promote that fact. Obviously, that's what we're all about as a church, so that's definitely on my mind. So great feedback.
Sorry, I want to follow up on that too, if I may. When we went down from 5 pages to 3 pages, that was one of the items we cut out as it was really tiny as it was. When we dropped down to 3 pages, we just removed it. So that was 3 weeks ago that it disappeared from there as we try to figure out how we're going to configure that. So our 3-page bulletin is still a work in progress. I think that's one of those theses that'll probably show up once a month. Also looking at how people communicate, and a lot of those who are looking for baptism, looking for a lot of those initiation sacraments, are probably visiting websites first and looking at our electronic communications. So that's why we did make that initial judgment to pull that out. And as we work to fit things in, that might be a piece, and that balancing act. Yeah.
I'm unhappy about that. Everything is get on the internet.
I want to talk about how happy I am. These past 2 years have been the most turbulent that I think any of us can remember. I have seen nonprofits through all of Milwaukee struggle, collapse. There's this great resignation of people getting burned out and leaving. To see the success that this parish has had over these last 2 years, the way it's held together, the way it's grown, the way it's looking forward to a vision, I am so proud to be connected to this faith community. It's very special to all of us. And I just can't thank enough to the people and the staff, the people in the community. With that in mind, there's something that I would like to add to those values, the things to look forward to this next year. And that's that there's so much that happened to people during isolation that we don't know about. We talk about trauma, we talk about family strife, we talk about people whose parents passed away and they could not be with them, children, grandchildren, you can't be with them. We've lost so much, and that ripples through our lives. And I think we have a responsibility as a parish to intentionally focus on healing that's going to take more than just a bit. It's going to continually happen, that we have a long-term healing as individuals, as a society, as a parish, from the fracturing of these last 2 years. And I think bringing that back as part of our liturgies, as part of our reflections, as part of our prayers, those unspoken traumas that people have experienced during these years, I think is really important, that we heal together, that we're all going through healing. We hear hurt people, healing people, heal people, and I think being aware of our collective healing is really important. So with that in mind, I like the sort of vibrancy of our liturgies. I don't know what that means. I don't know what process that's going to involve, but I hope it's a very open process and inclusive of all the different things that liturgy needs from each and every one of us, not just a small committee deciding what's going to be part of that. So that's my comment and my statement.
So I listened on Wednesday. I was here today, and it reminds me a lot of also things that go on in the business and running a business. The one thing I would just like to I'm happy with the way the parish is going and how everything's going, but I would just be cautious, everybody is, like I tell different people at work, don't point one thing out versus another. We all love one another, we all want to do that. Doesn't matter if somebody's at home and worshiping or somebody is here worshiping. It doesn't matter if they're old or young. We don't want to be trying to create division or sides between anybody. We want to be unity and love. So how do we do that? If things aren't being heard, that's where we put our voice. Maybe we put out a suggestion box where people can write things down if they're in person. Transparency is a big deal, which is another thing that I continue to hear. But we don't want to fight by pointing out something else. We want to fight for what we believe in, and we want to fight for that, but we don't want to do it at the expense of something else. Okay, everyone? So let's go back to the unity of love, which was what we had for this year, and figure out how to advance and move things forward instead. That's my only comment.
All right, well, thank you. Thank you, everybody. All the comments were taken very seriously and very carefully listened to. And what will happen is, this is being recorded, so I didn't make any specific notes, but I will definitely will be going back to look at anything that needs to be followed up with, will be followed up with between a commission or a staff person. So please know that just saying it here means something. You know, we will definitely follow up. So that's our plan. And same with the Wednesday session. We will compile all of those things together and figure out exactly how to respond. Okay? So thank you again for everything. I'm not quite done yet, but we're getting there. Thanks for being here. It really means a lot. Okay. Do I have the clicker? Oh, here.
I got it.
Did you advance? I do want to just add one thing about mission planning, if I could. We are going to put something in the bulletin. I'll post a summary and try to give you more information about where the data came from, some of the ideas. And we're going to try to put that all together, the mission planning teams, because we do believe you need to hear more about how we came to some of those conclusions. That's important. So I forgot to mention that before, and that's a plan. And we will definitely get that to you as soon as we can. Okay? All right, so I have a couple quotes from Dorothy Day, and I had been researching her a little bit more lately, and I had watched a video about her. She just inspired me, and as a Catholic, someone to look up to, a role model for all of us, and someone who really fought for social justice, which is so much of what our parish is about, and someone who worked, as I was thinking, with young people, worked really well with young people, up until her, I think she died at 83, and she was still fighting and working together with young people and old people and poor people, all people. So let's remember Dorothy Day. And the quotes she had, I have up here from her. One's about community. We have all known the long loneliness, and we have found that the answer is community. And isn't that the truth? We all work together as community. And when you love people, you see all the good in them, all the Christ in them. And I think that applies to us as well here at Good Shepherd. So again, thank you very much, and we will finish with a closing prayer. And if you want to say it together, I think we should. I mean, you're all here. So on Zoom, we didn't do it that way, but how about we do it together here? So in the name of the Father, and the Son,
Why don't we
and the
stand?
Holy Spirit. Dear God, we are
We are
all
so
so
incredibly in need of your power and your strength.
We ask that you would fill us with your spirit of love and unity among people all around our world. We ask for your help to set aside our differences and look to the greater cause, the cause of Christ. Please help us to truly live out a life of love. We know that it is only possible through the power of your Spirit. So we ask that you would move across our land in miraculous ways with fresh filling and awareness, turning your people back to you, drawing others to come to know you. We need your unity and your love to stir our hearts and give direction to our days. We need your wisdom to guide us. We need your spirit to lead us, to live out godly lives that would bring honor first to you. We thank you that you are always with us and give us great purpose and hope. In Jesus' name, amen. The Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us today.